And thank you, Fernando, and welcome to everybody to this webinar. I have really looked forward to, so to speak, meet you in this on this platform. Yes, and today the theme is how we can boost renovation, and I look behind the BetterHome initiative, and let me start off my presentation, and I look forward to all your questions. Well, first of all, welcome, and what makes BetterHome a success story, and then Q&As will be our agenda. And just to shortly mention how the situation is, the breakdown of the household energy consumption by the end use in the in EU, we have about 67% used by heating, and further on. And next level is that Denmark is actually in the middle of the energy consumption based on approximately 150 kilowatt hour per square meter, primarily heating and a little bit on hot water and cooling. Other countries have more on cooling, but we are in Denmark more or less positioned in the middle. And the distribution of the building stock in the EU per EPC class is defined here. And again, we have Denmark, not again, but now we have Denmark at the left with a certain distribution between the dwellings with label A until labels poorer than D. And well, it is not exceptional different from other countries in EU, and is showing that there is a very large potential of increasing the EPC classes for a lot of our dwellings that is below D and below C, so to speak. And the distribution in total on the different EPC classes is here, is undermining that we really have a challenge. If C is, well, B is, A and B is acceptable, then we have a lot of potential for energy refurbishment. Looking on the age of the EU building stock and the corresponding U value for building envelopes, we can see that, well, 75% of our building mass is from 1989 and before 45 in the last century. And we see that we have relatively high U values going down to buildings after 1990, where we are going below 1.2. And in the latest 8 years, we only have about 1.5, 0.5, and this is only 3% actually. So what we can say is that we have a very large mass of our building mass that has a far too high U value from an energy saving point of view. Next question is a slide here. Achieving the full market potential of renovation calls for a paradigm shift. Well, a renovation process is often a hassle. We have siloed offers, limited homeowner interaction, multiple payments, fragmented process, and so on. And this nice picture of a woman that is more or less screaming in 2 telephones at once is a way of illustrating that. We need a balancing of the supply side, more service-oriented, and the demand side, deeper awareness from both homeowners and people living in the dwellings. Going to what is actually the innovation of the renovation journey and BetterHome. First of all, we have focus on the homeowner. A lot of the measures and concepts in the building sector do not have focus on the homeowner. And this is one of the first steps we took, is focusing on this homeowner-centric concept as BetterHome is. Number 2 is underlining this transparency and reliability. Transparency in where you are in the client journey, and the reliability in your customer experiences and in the quality of in the projects. Toolbox from the installer, how can we play the installer strong in producing holistic energy refurbishment and comfort refurbishment. And well, rewarding investments, rewarding in terms that we improve actually a very, very important asset as the dwellings or homes are typically. And next one is simple quality checks, and least but not, and very, very important here is that we've used all what we can from the digitalization right now, which is common use in other areas than the building areas, and this is one very strong thing in our innovation. What is innovation behind BetterHome? How does it work in detail? What are the key success ingredients? First of all, let me introduce my owners or our vision. Our vision is that we would like to bring the house you can see on the left side. This is typically a house or dwelling from Denmark. It's a one-family house from the 70s. It might be built as by the homeowner himself, or this was typical house, maybe 1.1 million one-family houses like this have been built in Denmark with different colors and so on. And we have already, or there's already changed windows in this house, you can see. And next one is that you can see on the right side, you actually see the house after a deep refurbishment. More or less changed appearance into a degree where you cannot, where you actually need to ask the owner whether this is a new house or is it just, so to speak, a deep refurbished house. And this is our vision. We would like to bring the first house from the left to the right, because this brings a very high level of energy efficiency, much better indoor climate. We are overcoming the slack of maintenance that is a dominant problem in these dwellings, and we have now actually made a so-called value assurance in the building, meaning that it is now having the value you expect it has when it is in a certain area with a certain attractivity. And let me present this. BetterHome is a partnership between 4 global companies. This is Danfoss, Grundfos, Rockwool, and Velox, and made by based on the 4 following points. We want to make it easy for householders to renovate their houses. We want to offer substantial solutions and deliver quality in products and workmanship and ensure overview of funding. And just to say that the products, they have in total about 300 years experience in producing these solutions. So the question and the challenge in our area is actually the workmanship, which we sometimes describe as a very bumpy journey, if not supported in one way or the other. And that's what we do. The last one, we will not provide funding, but we will ensure overview of the funding. This is our foundation of BetterHome. Well, why does a multi-billion euro refurbishment market not run by itself? And just to say that our estimate is that this is a very tremendous market potential we are looking into, and a market that is actually inactive. So that's why we have made this question to ourselves. And one of them is that you don't know, if you take the first bubble, is the housing counselor, how many housing counselors, and do we want to pay for them? The next one is the different installers. We actually sometimes call it the high-ace run, where you have a lot of different high-aces or cars running in your around your house, and you don't know which installer you can rely on in this process. Next one is financing. Financing is where you need the overview. This can be difficult. In these days, you actually have a lot of financing in terms of free value in the property dwellings, and you also have a lot of savings after the crisis. But, well, financing and the overview, this is important. And then we have the subsidiaries, which is varying from country to country, and in Denmark actually is on a very low level. And then the last one is the do-it-yourself market. And since the value of dwelling is increasing in these last 20 years, well, the do-it-yourself market will always be there, but the problem is that sometimes the banks do not accept do-it-yourself projects in financing them. So the problem is actually, from what we have seen, is that homeowners say energy refurbishment is too complex. And it's not only energy refurbishment, it is all kind of refurbishment in the houses. Well, the solution in BetterHome is basically a homeowner-centric renovation journey. Starting at the left, transparent and a reliable process is some of the key words here. Next one is the feeling of value for money. And last, the digitalization-driven process. And let me underline that when you sign up, and the simplicity of BetterHome is that you actually only need 3 clicks on the BetterHome web platform, where you, for example, mention your energy consumption, check your energy waste, your improvement ideas. These can be very emotional ideas, and then you ask for an installer, and then you are definitely up and running. And I have a little bit more detailed client journey at the bottom of the slide, where we have the first 3 clicks at the left, going on booking a mapping of your home, and the decision support and customized proposal, installation, and then you have this energy saving and comfortable home and a happy homeowner, so to speak, ready for another event in the house, maybe bringing it to a smart home. The automatic result from the website BetterHome today, I don't know whether you have seen it. I'm sorry, it is in Danish and Swedish, but you will get some very short feedbacks on. It's very simple to write your address and get some very simple energy feedbacks on the level of energy waste in your building. And made from an independent research company, BPI, that we had to both ask our customers, our installers, and the banks we're working together with. We have this input that from a house owner, knowing that I would get good products and qualified installers was the reason I contacted BetterHome. So this is a part of this reliability that we need to build when we get our customers on board. Next one is, what is then the BetterHome offerings? And then, well, the homeowner-centric approach is very important. We always focus on this process from the point of view that the homeowner actually presents. To understand all the barriers we need to crash and to support them through. And the next one is the tailor-made multi-service offers. It is important for us to say that 2 energy refurbishments will not be the same. And we actually are starting on different baselines. So that's why it is tailor-made multi-service offerings depending on the status of the house. And not the least, all the emotional drivers and needs from the homeowners, which can depend on how many people they are, where they are in the life cycle, and so on. Holistically planned process is also a very important part of it. This is the transparency of the process. We need actually to compete with other consumer client journeys, like buying a car or going on for a travel for a couple of months with your kids, or whatever you do in larger home or end user buyings. So the holistically planned process is very important to make them feel good and comfortable in the process. And the last thing is that we are only using entrepreneurs that is actually handling all the process. So there is only one single payment if the process is made on one stage and not divided into several processes over maybe 4 or 5 years. And then we again I have my own statement here is that the energy savings of BetterHome projects are actually 30 to 70%. And this is astonishing because we have a lot of years spoken about how large is actually the energy savings when you're doing these projects. So if you're pursuing a high energy efficiency, we can also deliver that. The BetterHome process, now I would like to go into the interesting elements of why things are moving forward. We actually have at least a triangular. Let me start from that. We have a triangular between the homeowner, the installer, and the one-stop shop in BetterHome. The legal business or the contract is actually between the homeowner and the installer. We are not a part of that. But what we do is, first of all, trying to make better awareness for the homeowner by facilitating and following up. We have a 10 to 20 minutes interview live, which is like a life coach, where we discuss the ideas behind or the homeowner's own ideas of how he would like to develop his home with a lot of emotional points of view. And then we actually, with the installer, we are training the installers, we are producing digital tools and guidelines and support, so we play them strong as possible in these processes so they actually can handle a holistic process. And then we have the works and awareness raising process generated in the direct contact between the homeowner and installer. We then also have a fourth element. This is actually the financing banks, where we get a lot of referrals from. These banks also have, first of all, they have a customer need to increase their customer satisfaction and assure that we have this high satisfaction in client journeys that has a expectation of to be very bumpy, but it is not in BetterHome. But this fourth element is actually an element that is raising a lot of demand for very high customer satisfaction in the homeowner level. But we also need to have a high, so to speak, customer satisfaction in the installer part. So we do what we can to create awareness, get the homeowner feel safe and comfortable through the process, and the same for the installer, and providing a good customer experience for the customers of the banks. What is actually happening on this direct contact between the customer and the installer? We have developed a very simple platform where, well, we start a process in the online application or sign up. They do a short introduction, discuss preference, expectations, and potential measures, arrange time for the on-site visit. Well, we are aligning expectations all through the process. You could say that it's all about aligning expectations in BetterHome, and it starts here. When this is on phone, this is on emails, this is before the on-site visit. When the on-site visit begins, we actually repeat all the registered needs, feelings, and emotional plans for how they want to improve their home. And then we do deeper discussions on potential improvements, you could call it inspiration, further discussion on expectations and potential measures and time frame and financial boundaries for the project. This is all, these little bit heavy discussions or difficult discussions is actually taken in these early stage, because we cannot take, if we take them too late in the client journey, then we use a lot of time and efforts from, especially from the installers, that will not be paid back. So we take this very early, and this is very fruitful. The interview on comfort, we start with the interview on comfort because everybody has a meaning, a point of view on the comfort of their own dwelling. And the next one is now where we go into a more technical building performance check. We have a configurator where we actually support the installer and the dialogue between the installer and the homeowner to go through the home in all the main building components. And then we at the last stage, we have the very, again, a very important alignment between all the original ideas when they made the sign up, the new ideas developed by inspiration in our dialogue, and then what is actually their budget frame and time frame. And a lot of times we actually need them to go back to their bank to increase, enlarge their budget frame, and then come back, and then we actually make a very proper proposal for them. A proposal that takes usually 2 to 3 days in work time, and typically is spread over 2 to 3 weeks. So it is important that, so to speak, the customer qualifies for a proposal, and this is one of the reasons why we have very, very high conversion rates, that we all through this client journey are working very focused on alignment between what is possible in the building, what is the emotional needs from the homeowner, and the installer's pricing of how to improve the home. And we have an input from one of the interviewed installers, which he says, the real innovation with BetterHome is how we are trained to interact with the customer, becoming more like salesmen, not selling products, but the vision of a more comfortable home. This is interesting. Comfort is king in the homes, and energy is one of the largest upsides during this process in terms of savings. The strong digital toolbox served for the installers primarily now is a strong web app we have developed, where they can choose the product, where they can have all the dialogue with the customer, and photo documentation of what is happening. This is a very strong quality tool, photos before and after refurbishment, but also to remember what did they actually discuss with the homeowner when they had their very crucial meetings. And we have, I'm sorry, it is in Danish. In the middle of the slide, you see our configurator, how we actually, in the main building components, with a lot of sub-themes, are making a very thorough investigation of the potential energy saving or indoor climate savings, or improvement, sorry. And the input from one of the interviewed installers is that the digital platform is really smooth and help us structure the works. And this is important for us, that we also both bring comfort and reliability among the homeowners, but also among the installers, to get them through and to assure that we go through this process. Then I have, well, you probably want to ask me, what is BetterHome and success? And from the point of view that we were developed in order to make an activation of a very inactive building market, the energy refurbishment and comfort refurbishment in the first part with one-family houses, but we also now working with multi-family houses. Well, we have a total turnover of 22 million euro in 2017, a level we will exceed this year. And we have an average project size of about 66,000 euros, which we describe as deep refurbishments. And starting with the deep refurbishments, which is, sorry to say, it's a kind of a white elephant in the jungle. A lot of people have been talking about through the years. We're actually delivering deep refurbishments through this process. Another thing is that, yes, the turnover could be much higher in terms of when you look on the potential of the buildings. When we looked on the EPC classes, there is a lot of potential. So from that point, well, we have only taken a very minor part of the market right now, but we need to activate this market, and there's a lot of things to do, but we actually have a substantial turnover right now, satisfying the owners. But we need to expand that a lot. And looking into our dashboard, I'm sorry, this is, of course, a little boring, but important for me to tell you that try to have a look or grab on to have a look on the numbers, especially the conversion numbers. I've not shown you all the numbers because there's a lot of numbers, but this is important. How do actually the customers convert from lead into order? And it is interesting that right now, I'm sorry that you cannot see the, well, yes, the very important number is actually in the bottom, that the conversion of leads and customers referred from the banks, or they found us on the social media, or referred from other sources. Well, the conversion was in 2016 about 16% of from lead to order. And last year, in 2017, it was about 30%, and it's more or less at the same level we have this year, actually a little bit higher. But if you go into the more the subparts of the client journey, you can see that looking on, for example, production of meetings, we have about 46% of the leads converted to meetings. But going to the proposals, it is increased a lot. And actually in the ordering stage, we have in 2017, we have very close to 100% of all orders converted to, proposals converted to orders. And this is a very high level compared even to the best installers' own numbers. So this brings me to the recommendations that we have developed. One of them is that the structure of the supply side is very important. With the use of innovative digital tools, building professionals can provide a smoother process for themselves and for the building owner, aligning with existing stakeholders on the market, including banks and mortgage providers, creates a constructive win-win situation. But we also need to take the digitalization into the branch with very strong digital solutions, a CRM system, apps, and so on. BetterHome shows that digital solutions can help the construction industry become more consumer-centric and service-oriented. And the next set of recommendations is that building awareness for the end user is very important. Actually, you could say this is actually it's our focal area. The more awareness of needs and leveling this with what can actually be realized is a very, very needed point for us. So training the installers in order to sell the broader picture or vision, including benefits, for example, low interest rates, increasing property value, improvements to health of their children and comfort, as well as climate and environmental benefits, and of course the energy savings. The installer is not just replacing the old building elements, but creating a better living environment. This, even as we sometimes say, we are improving the life of the homeowners. The next one is safeguard the good reputation. This is not only because it is for very strong companies, but another point is that there's a lot of word of mouth in this area. So we need to be sure that we always deliver really good client satisfaction, because there will be a lot of referral of new customers through good customer experiences in BetterHome. So this is safeguard a good reputation is from a business point of view very much about word of mouth. So this is basically what I have chosen to present today, and I would like to open for a lot of questions that I hope you actually have to BetterHome. Thanks.